All right, folks, check this out. Earlier today at the bipartisan press conference in which victims of Jeffrey Epstein demanded that Donald Trump release the Epstein files, the moment that MAGA Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene stepped up to the microphone to also criticize the Trump administration and demand that the government release the Epstein files, Fox News panicked and cut away from the entire press conference.
The truth needs to come out, and the government holds the truth. The cases that are sealed hold the truth. Jeffrey Epstein's estate holds the truth. The FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA holds the truth. And the truth...
So Marjorie Taylor Greene continues speaking there at this press conference about the Epstein files, the Epstein victims as well, a highlight on them today. And you can continue watching all of this. It is streaming on foxnews.com. In the meantime, we'll get you to this as well.
So they had no interest in hearing MAGA Republican Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene criticize the Trump administration. They no interest. Oh, you can watch it over here, but we got to go. We got to go. We have other things to talk about. Very curious indeed. And it's part of a pattern. Fox has done that multiple times in the past. We've commented on it. We discussed it in videos that they very carefully curate what they are willing to publicize to their MAGA viewers, their Trump cultist viewers, with respect to MAGA on MAGA criticism. All right. Now, as a reminder, I want to show you what Marjorie Taylor Greene said at the bipartisan Epstein victim press conference, which was designed to put pressure on the Trump administration to release the Epstein files.
All of the fault belongs to the evil people that do these things to the innocent. This is the most important fight we can wage here in Congress, is fighting for innocent people that never receive justice. And the women behind me have never received justice. And do you want to know why? It's because Jeffrey Epstein somehow was able to walk among the most rich, powerful people, not only in America, but foreign countries. Yesterday, I heard countries like Saudi Arabia, Russia, and even Israel, and other countries. The truth needs to come out, and the government holds the truth. The cases that are sealed hold the truth. Jeffrey Epstein's estate holds the truth. The FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA holds the truth. And the truth we are demanding come out on behalf of these women, but also as a strong message to every innocent child, teenager, woman, and man that is being held captive in abuse. This should never happen in America, and it should never be a political issue that divides us.
And yet it is, because it is politically damaging to Donald Trump. This is the situation, this is the dilemma in which Marjorie Taylor Greene finds herself as a consequence of her own MAGA cultishness. And so there's more details to be had in the CNN write-up about this press conference and the aftermath. Epstein Files push hits a boiling point in Congress as Trump dismisses it as a hoax. A bipartisan group of lawmakers stood outside the U.S. Capitol on Wednesday alongside nearly a dozen women who said they'd been abused by the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, with a poignant message. This is not a hoax. That included a direct plea from one of the survivors to the president. Quote, President Trump, you have so much influence and so much power in the situation. Please use that influence and power to help us, end quote. And again, I remarked at the time when we covered this press conference that was a very shrewd strategy by this particular Epstein survivor, because it appeals to Trump's vanity. Trump needs to feel powerful and important. And now castigating him is, I would argue, morally righteous, and we should be able to pressure him simply by virtue of that. But given that Trump is a sociopath and a malignant narcissist, probably the only way to get him on your side is to flatter him by appealing to his sense of power and asking for his help. Although, again, it seems unlikely that he's inclined to offer it. And an invitation extended to him from another abuse survivor, Haley Robson. Quote, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand that this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma. Yet just moments after those survivors spoke, Donald Trump delivered his own remarks, dismissing the escalating national political furor over the Epstein files as a Democratic hoax. Of course, we covered that as well in a separate video. Trump delivered his remarks at the White House just down the street from where a crowd overtook the steps of the Capitol to hear from lawmakers and Epstein survivors about why Congress needs to demand more transparency from the executive branch related to Epstein's crimes. It's the most concerted push yet by those lawmakers and survivors, some of whom had never spoken publicly before, to force Congress to act. This is the key part. Notably, it's not just the president's political adversaries who are backing the push. Among the lawmakers who took the podium was one of Trump's closest personal allies, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene of Georgia. Her support is a clear signal that the president won't be soon able to escape the scrutiny over his administration's handling of the Epstein investigation. Quote, "This is not about politics. This is a boiling point in American history," Greene said in a fiery speech in which she vowed to support the survivors in any way possible. Speaking to CNN after the press conference, Greene said she spoke with Trump personally earlier that morning and urged him to host Epstein's victims in the Oval Office. As far as we know, that has not happened. It seems unlikely that that will happen, but I suppose stranger things have happened. The appearances by Trump and Epstein survivors marked an extraordinary moment in a months-long battle for his government to release additional documents and information related to the disgraced financier. As Speaker Mike Johnson and GOP leaders in Congress attempt to quell the backlash over Trump's handling of the controversy, Republicans like Greene have breathed new life into the fight. Greene, at the time of recording, is one of 4 Republicans who have so far signed on to this week's bipartisan push to force Congress to require the White House to publicly disclose more information from the case. The effort, known as the discharge petition, is led by Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky, a fiercely independent Republican who frequently spars with Trump. But both Greene and Massie argued the matter should be above politics. They urged more of their GOP colleagues to back their resolution, allowing the measure to come to the floor for a vote, a major affront to Johnson's powers as Speaker. Quote, "There's over 200 Republicans who have not signed this discharge petition. We only need 2 of them to sign it," Massie said at the press conference where he vowed not to back down from the fight. Johnson has argued publicly and privately that Massie's discharge petition, quote, "has been made moot and unnecessary because of the House Oversight Committee's work," which he pointed Wednesday to the more than 33,000 documents released by the panel less than 24 hours before. Quote, "What we're going to do is effectively deputize the Oversight Committee, which is the committee of appropriate jurisdiction, to go on a deep dive on this. I think they're going to uncover things that have never been uncovered before," the Louisiana Republican said. But Democrats were quick to point out, however, that most of the material released by the committee contained information that had already been made publicly available. Again, James Comer, the head of the House Oversight Committee, admitted on CNN 97% had been released before. Again, this is the Epstein Files Binders Controversy 2.0. Get no credit for this shit. The party has been has sought to weaponize the Epstein issue against Trump and the GOP in recent weeks, trying to force votes that would put vulnerable Republicans in difficult positions. But the tone of Wednesday's press conference was far less partisan. Quote, "I've never done a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene before," Democratic Representative Ro Khanna, a staunch liberal from California, said of the firebrand Republican as the crowd laughed. An attorney for numerous Epstein survivors said they would hold Johnson and lawmakers accountable. Quote, "I can tell you that in Oversight Committee hearings yesterday, they indicated they were all for transparency, releasing the files, and asked us to hold them accountable. So we intend to hold them accountable," Brad Edwards said at the news conference. Speaking to CNN before, Massie accused the Trump administration of redacting certain information, such as Epstein's flight logs, to, quote, "prevent embarrassment for Trump's donors and friends." Quote, "I don't think he's implicated in these files, but I think his donors are. I think his friends are, and I think our own DOJ and government are implicated in this too. So you can't trust them." So the reason I'm doing this is because I just want to emphasize how important it is that it's not just Democrats pushing for this, but some Republicans are too. Now, Thomas Massie has been a thorn in Trump's side for months. Trump is pushing aggressively to primary Massie, which he's done before and failed. That's not to say that he won't succeed this time, but he has failed in the past when he's gone after Massie. This, in turn, has given Massie the comfort to go after Trump in a more aggressive way as well, like publicly. And I get this. I do get this impression, and I love it. I love to see it. But I get the impression that Massie at this point is like, you know what, fuck it. You failed. I have stood on principle, and you have come after me in the most petty and personal way, and you have failed time and time again. So you know what? I'm actually going to enjoy screwing you over a little bit. You see that in Massie's demeanor when he talks about Trump. You can see like kind of the sly grin because he knows he's screwing Trump over, and I think he enjoys having that power over Trump, and I think that's great. I genuinely do. I mean, good for him. Anything that humiliates Trump and fractures the Republican Party, I think is objectively good. And I think that triggers Trump. Trump is like, he has no real leverage over Massie, and he has now put Massie in a position where Massie is now even more inclined to defy him than before. But Marjorie Taylor Greene is very different. Now, we've talked about in previous videos where Greene has become increasingly, selectively, but increasingly rebellious of Trump. Like when she picked a fight with Speaker Mike Johnson in 2024 repeatedly, Trump eventually got to the point where publicly and privately he was pressuring people to back off Johnson. And Marjorie Taylor Greene persisted. She ultimately relented, but she didn't immediately obey the way that we would expect most Trump cultists and the way that Marjorie Taylor Greene typically does when it comes to Trump. So she has moments, right? You give her 100 situations, and in 3 or 4 of them, she will defy Trump. And this is the biggest public defiance I've seen. And I'm sure she's going to go out of her way not to frame it in that way. But I am framing it that way because it's true. Trump wants the Epstein files to go away. He does not want this discharge petition to make it to the floor. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is actively working against that interest. And I think that needs a lot of scrutiny. And I think anything that divides the Republican Party is incredibly beneficial to the country. And again, this Epstein situation has been the most frustrating and penetrative scandal of the Trump administration thus far. And we need to work overtime to make sure that that persists, especially as he refuses to do what he campaigned to do, which is release the files in the first place and what Epstein's victims want him to do. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.